Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Barbarian and this is the 11th dev diary for Crusader Kings III, released today on the 28th of January. We're going to talk about Seduction, Torture and the Intrigue perk tree, so essentially all perk trees related to the Intrigue skill in Crusader Kings III. And I can already tell you, I'm incredibly excited. This is a wonderful dev diary. This is a dev diary that truly, you know, kind of did exactly what I wanted from it. I always thought that the dev diaries surrounding the perks and surrounding the perk trees would be special because those perk trees are essentially the next step when it comes to bringing more role-playing and more RPG into the world of Grand Strategy and into the world of Crusader Kings. This is exactly what the developers are doing here, and I think they really hit the nail on its head. This is a wonderful dev diary, really detailing how we can benefit from a classic, you know, roleplay style perk tree, as it is seen in, for example, Divinity, in Fallout New Vegas, all of those games. I mean, Fallout New Vegas wasn't really a classic tree, but you know what I mean, right? Either way, what we're going to do here is let's just jump right in and, you know, get to it, because there are 3 trees and those 3 trees are quite, you know, extending. And I gotta say, by the way, what I can see here also gives me a lot of hope for the modding community when it comes to opening up additional and different perk trees. I'm just gonna say a magic perk tree, for example, that teaches you different spells as you go. Oh god, I am so excited for that. But either way, let's talk about the 3 different focuses that are in the game and are part of the Intrigue. Now, every single attribute, diplomacy, martial, stewardship, intrigue and learning, has 3 different focuses, and every single focus has its individual perk tree. And when it comes to intrigue, we have the skullduggery focus, so scheming as a whole. You get some agent acceptance, meaning people will be more likely to join your schemes. We have intrigue, and we get, you know, just the generic intrigue experience. And then down here we have the seduction focus, or well, temptation, I suppose. You get additional fertility, you get attraction opinion, and you get seduction scheme power plus 20%. Intrigue experience 30 per month as well. And then the intimidation focus, which is new. These 2 practically already existed after Way of Life, but the intimidation focus adds an entirely different playstyle to Crusader Kings 2. If you were cruel, if you were a horrible person in Crusader Kings 2, and I said 2 there, don't worry about it. If you were a horrible person in CK2, people would just hate you, and eventually they would go and would rebel against you. In CK3, you can be the Mad King, and you can imprison, you can impale, you can torture, you can revoke, you can, you know, do whatever you want. If you do it the right way, because if you do it the right way, it will build dread. And building dread means that people fear you and respect you out of fear. You know, different than the way it worked in CK2, where practically it always just worked by liking you. In CK3, it is quite possible to go the intimidation route. We're going to see that perk tree. It is a great perk tree, but let's talk about that when we get to it. You get some intrigue here, some dread gain, and some natural dread. Absolutely wonderful. Now, with that being said, you get some lifestyle traits, of course, at the end of each perk tree. You get the Torturer one, the Seducer one, and the Master Schemer. Well, you know, they all correspond essentially to one CK2 trait, as is. The Torturer would correspond to the Impaler, then we have the Master Seducer, and we have the I think Master Spy, I want to say. I can't remember what this one called. Master Schemer. Wait a minute, let me actually check. Master Schemer, I believe, is what it's called. You should already have some. Master Schemer, there you go, yeah, Master Schemer, that's it. So these traits are something that isn't entirely new, but it is something that adds some value, because these are not something that you just get randomly after, you know, fulfill some requirements. You get them at the end of each perk tree, meaning you can pick them. Now, let's start with the seduction scheme and the seduction skill tree. What they introduce us to here is essentially that seduction changes a whole lot. And we're going to talk about how it works in CK3, and then we're going to go to CK2 for just a minute, and I'm going to show you how it worked there if you don't remember properly, because it sucks. CK2 seduction is ass. I swear to god, it's horrible. I don't know how that ever got in, but CK3, look at this. So, essentially, the player here fired a scheme on Matilda, I assume Duchess Matilda of Tuscany, in the 1066 start, and you can see here the different preparation stages to even fire this, and they were all greenlit, so those were all successful, but they rolled a critical fail. So this is what you influence with your plot power, with your scheme power, the chance to get, you know, each phase filled out, and you are quicker the higher your power is. But then eventually there is just, you know, you firing it, and that is a success chance. So that is different from the plot power chance. As I made my climb up to Duchess Matilda's window, her shocked scream was not the welcome I had in mind. I have no time to stop her before she runs for the door and flings it open. Help! Guards! There's an intruder in my chambers. Before this night gets any worse, I crawl back the way I came. A critical failure essentially led to a situation where Duchess Matilda now hates you. Duchess Matilda will never be able to be seduced by you ever again. I may have misjudged her eagerness. Look at her face. Look at this face. Is this the face of mercy, of forgiveness, of seduction? Absolutely not. She hates your guts. Now, that being said, In CK2, it works a bit differently. In CK2, I already picked here the seduction focus, so that is what you would have to do to even do this scheme. As I understand it, in CK3, you will no longer need the seduction focus to kick off that scheme to begin with, which is good. It is absolutely excellent. And once you did that, you select someone to seduce. I already selected someone, and now let's just wait, because it's all random. Everything hereafter is entirely random. Oh wow, I haven't seen that event in a million years. Oh, and she actually said no, I'm pretty sure. Oh well, she is gonna say no anyway. Look at this. It's all just waiting. There's nothing else to it. There's literally nothing else to it. Yeah, she definitely doesn't like us. I guess that she, you know, is kind of committed to her husband or something. She does have plenty of children as well. But that is all the seduction focus is. You literally just wait and hope that any of these will at some point become a good event. And if they do, then hey, you seduce them and that's it. But there is nothing personal. There's no direct connection. There's no scheming going on. It's just a random chance for some events that may or may not be positive. So that is just all that works with seduction. Once you seduce someone, you can choose to just drop them, you know, was a one-night stand, or you can choose to make them your lover. In CK3, that works tad differently, but you know, as you can see here, it works as a proper plot. You actually prepare something and then you fire it as you would fire a scheme, as it works in CK3 as well. There is a dev diary on that. We already talked about that, so go to that if you have any more questions. Now let's talk about the skill tree that you can unlock and how you can use it in that wonderful new seduction scheming. So enticing opportunity is the first skill here, and seduction scheme power plus 30%, essentially upping your chance for each progress step to occur as quickly as possible. After that, we have the smooth operator, seduction scheme success chance plus 25%. That is, once you actually completed all the steps, you then fire it and have a 25% chance to not get a critical failure, which is quite neat. Beyond that, the home advantage, seduction scheme success chance against own courtiers and guests plus 50%. That is huge, but it can only be applied, of course, against courtiers and guests. So your own court can be made into a court of lovers, a harem, you might say. And that will work, that is quite nice, but all of these three perks that we've seen so far were just boring modifiers. Who cares about modifiers? I mean, they are very powerful, but you know what I care about? I care about this stuff. Subtle Desire. Removes the incestuous penalty from your seduction schemes. It is Crusader Kings, I mean, what were we thinking, right? The way this works is essentially that incest will remain, of course, you know, unless you have the right religion and the right religious doctrines. It will remain a no-go, but for some reason you are now talented enough because you are experienced, which this kind of reflects, right? That's what the perk tree does. It shows that you're an experienced seducer. You are now able to actually go ahead and convince your sister, or brother for that matter, just for the record, that, you know, incest isn't that bad. And I do think that this changes things quite a bit, because the more experienced you are, the more out of this world kind of, you know, plots you can pull off, the more strange schemes you can pull off. And I think that is something that CK2 didn't reflect at all. You could become a master seducer, of course, but that was it. There was no step before it. You either were or you weren't a master seducer. And after you became a master seducer, it's just like, alright, I guess it speeds it up, but that is also all that was. So this is pretty cool. You get, you know, more outlandish plots that become all of a sudden viable, and I think that is quite neat. Unshackled Lust removes your attraction penalties in seduction schemes. For example, if you're ugly, if you're frail, if you lost, you know, some of your body, if you have some, I don't know, smallpox or something, all of a sudden, nobody cares about it. They say, oh, here's other qualities. He takes care of dogs, you know, that sort of stuff. So the more experience you get, the more you become a smooth talker, or you just become better in bed. I mean, let's be real, maybe that might even, you know, just be a reputation that follows you around and makes it so that people are more interested in you. You can never, and this is important, you can never go against the target's sexual preference. So unless your target is bisexual or homosexual, you are not able to, you know, seduce someone of your same sex, and the other way around as well. Like Weeds in a Garden, fertility plus 30%, so there we go. This adds extra fertility, making it so that you can sire many, many bastards and many kids that, you know, the parent, well, you know, the cuckolded parent will believe to be their parent. I think that is quite interesting because it makes it so that more families, or rather bigger families, become even more prevalent and something that you can go for. And then down here we have Graceful Recovery. You can no longer critically fail seduction schemes, so no longer will Duchess Matilda be angry at you if you don't pull it off. Mortal Adoration. Your lovers are less likely to join murder schemes against you. Lovers are more likely to save you in case of attempted murder. So yes, indeed, it is confirmed. You can go ahead and build literally a harem that will protect you. Your personal bodyguard harem made up of all of those women that you captured while raiding as a Viking. And the final perk tree is the one that grants you the Seducer trait. It comes with increases to Intrigue, Fertility, and a hefty boost to Attraction opinion for anyone who finds themselves unfortunate enough to be of the relevant sexual orientation. So as you can see here, they are quite direct when it comes to going ahead and, you know, taking care, becoming a more experienced Master Seducer, and I think that is incredibly nice. This is such a much more advanced step in comparison to just having this and just randomly waiting for events, and then you either are a Master Seducer or you have no benefits whatsoever for seducing. So the way I see this is very, very well done. I really like this. It gives you some really neat bonuses and makes it so that outlandish schemes become progressively more possible as you go on. I really like it. You can, you know, kind of train on your courtiers and then you go to actual, for example, vassals, or maybe even your queen or your king, that sort of stuff. Now beyond that, let's talk about torture. Now that is amazing. As I said, there is now this new kind of modifier that is called dread, and the dreadful life that you can live makes it so that your vassals and your courtiers and whoever else is afraid of you. They will just duck out and they will do whatever you demand of them. Being a torturer comes with a piety penalty and a loss of clergy opinion if your faith does not make exceptions for this sort of thing. So, you know, that is something that we already have. And let me just jump into CK2 to take a look at what torture was right here. So, I am High Chief Parliament of Lithuania, and as High Chief Parliament of Lithuania, I can go ahead and, you know, imprison, for example, my daughter, 13 years old, and then I can click Torture Imprisoned. It comes with a health penalty, it comes with a negative opinion modifier, it comes with the potential to become cruel and long-term to become an impaler, and it also loses me, of course, some piety. There you go, tortured, health -2. They can also get some negative modifiers. She did not get any of those, but that's okay. And that is all that torturing does. It releases the person. I think there's a game rule where you can stop them from being released, but if there is, then I'm sure that that excludes you from any, what's it called, any Iron Man achievements. Now let's just go on. I want to play the Byzantines because the Byzantines have something, you know, slightly special. That is really it. It is very slightly special, and I can't even imprison you, can I? Can't imprison anyone. Good God, I hate being the emperor. Oh, we already have a prisoner. Hello there. And what you can do here is, because we are Greek, so this is a cultural thing, we can castrate and we can blind people, but they will afterwards also be released. He's now a eunuch, but he is released. So this is a thing that happens in CK2, and that is all it is. Now, torture in CK3 means a bit more. What is it good for? Blah, blah. No, there you go. So, torture. Let's take a look at this. If you torture this person, who is Count Elek of Chanat, I believe Czech, I want to say, you might discover a secret that he has. For example, if he has a secret about someone else and you come with, you know, those big scissors, he says, I will give you this secret, please. Don't do this to me. And that secret can then be used to further, you know, make other people fear you, because you can all of a sudden blackmail them. You will also lose stress if you are sadistic, which is insane. If you're not sadistic, then you may build up stress, but that stress has some positives later on as well. Just wait a second, we're gonna get there in a second. You will gain some dread and you will pay 100 piety. That's right, quite hefty, but that is, you know, not a final number, so don't sweat it. And effects on him will be the opinion modifier that we also see there, so he will never forget that you tortured him. He will know crime, rightful imprisonment. I assume that this means that you committed a crime against him and he could imprison you, theoretically, if he had the power, which he hopefully won't have. And he will gain a modifier called recently tortured for 1 year, which I assume means that he can't be tortured for another year, but who knows. And of course, all close family members and spouse of Count Elek will hate you. And now let's go to the actual torture tree. So this is just what you do to torture, and it looks way cooler. The stress modifier alone, the dread, it's so much more than just you sitting there and going like, oh, yep, you lose 2 health, buddy. That's it. Cool. Now you're free to go. Now in this instance, you actually have big impacts here when it comes to the stress and the dread. Now let's go into the actual tree. Dreadful, you gain more dread, meaning you are more effective at making people fear you. Divine retribution, you do not lose piety or clergy opinion from torturing or executing others. That is very big if you want to keep on torturing and not lose the Pope's favor. Prison feudal complex, imprison chance plus 50%. So obviously, the more you go around and imprison people, the more you're going to go around and revoke people and torture them, the more, you know, kind of sophisticated will your systems be around doing it. So I think this makes perfect sense to make it so that if you're an experienced torturer and an experienced prison master, that, you know, your capabilities will also increase. And then down here we have the dread DK minus 100%. Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, the numbers aren't finished, I just want to say that, but it is so powerful. It enables you to truly play as Vlad Dracula if you wanted to. And then down here we have malice implicit. Dread gain per tyranny plus 0.5. As you can see here, It's not all about dread, however. Intimate familiarity with human anatomy can help in other ways too. Dark insights. When you torture someone, 50% chance to gain either intrigue or one prowess. So, for example, you would be better in fights because you know where the organs are and you know where it hurts. And then intrigue makes it so that you are better, you know, to assassinate, for example, someone from the shadows. That is something that you can also learn on this perk tree, making you all that much stronger. And that happens every time you torture someone. But I assume that torturing is fairly rare, or well, rarer than it would be in CK2 because it costs you 100 goddamn piety. And then down here, while it's not a relief for stress per se, unless you're particularly sadistic, the perk tree offers additional side benefits for your poor coping methods. Thriving in chaos. The higher your stress level is, the more martial, intrigue, and prowess you get. It is absolutely insane. What a machine. What a monster you can become in CK3 if you become a torturer. It is incredibly different from CK2, where if I torture someone, especially, you know, if I torture one of my vassals, one of the people, you know, close to me, I will come into a situation where they will hate me and will try to get rid of me. And I think I can't, why can't I imprison you, I wonder? Wait a minute, let me actually check here. Is it like a character modifier or something? Has a valid, right, I need a valid imprisonment reason. Let me just take a look at this. I just want to showcase this, right? What about Armenia? Play 41505. So, for example, if I go on and I'm going to try to imprison you, this worked, wonderful, and then I'm going to torture you. Look at this stuff. He now hates me. These people will start hating me as well because I'm a tyrant, and this tyrant modifier only becomes worse. So that's exactly what CK3 still will do, of course. They will still view you as a tyrant, but it can be overshadowed by you having become an amazing person when it comes to your stats and an incredibly feared person. I am so excited to play my first torture playthrough, I'll be honest with you. Fear tax. Look at this. You can make more money because people fear you. I assume, alternatively, you could, you know, turn towards stewardship and just become more prosperous and make it so that people pay more money because you are better at administrating, or you can just make them fearful and deliver you some more money. The last perk in the tree grants the Torturer trait, which offers a slight levy and prowess boost, along with an additional improvement to your dread gain. This will allow you to keep your dread exceptionally high as you imprison, revoke, torture, and execute to your heart's content. The Torture tree is insane. It is absolutely insane, and it is exactly what they should have gone for. I'm honestly, I'm super happy about the inclusion of perk trees. I know there was a lot of criticism. I literally heard people say, this looks like a mobile game. I was flabbergasted back when that happened, and I'm flabbergasted now if people were to say it, because a mobile game, are you kidding me? It's just an RPG. And CK becoming more of an RPG is amazing. That is the dream. Writing better stories, having more opportunities to write stories. I am super excited to play a horrible person in Wallachia. Now let's get to the schema tree. That is a bit more traditional because scheming is, of course, you know, something very classic that we've done in CK2 numerous times with the different plot symbols and the different plots that, you know, were open to us. If you do commit to... He's already committed to the damn business focus. Do we have anyone here? I don't think we do. That's Seduction, very unlucky, not good enough. You get some additional schemes if you go down with the scheming, you know, with the scheme intrigue focus in CK2 as well, but this one is even more specific, as you can see. Swift execution, murder, scheme power plus 30%, meaning that the different stages that we saw up here will be filled out quicker. And good god, this is a long dev story. These ones will be filled out quicker. Has nothing to do with the success chance, just for the record, but it will make it easier for you to, you know, get schemes fired. On top of that, a job done right, hostile scheme success chance plus 25. That is practically, you know, the same thing as we saw up, but instead of for seduction, this is for hostile schemes like, you know, abducting, for murdering, all that sort of stuff. And the deeper you go, the more you will be better at, for example, finding secrets as well. But it doesn't stop there. Now, these are all modifiers as we've seen them, you know. Every tree has some fairly boring but nonetheless impactful modifiers. But then here comes the good stuff. Disrupt scheme effectiveness. Now you're better at making it so that people cannot scheme against you. If you are a good schemer, that is. It is way, way better than what we see in CK2, where even as a master schemer, you can be destroyed if people, you know, just hate you enough. People can hate you. If you are good at disrupting it, might as well hate you. You can still stop them, right? Down here, prepared for anything. Enemy hostile scheme success chance minus 25. Enemy hostile scheme success chance against the court is minus 10. They have made a step here where being a good schemer actually safeguards you. You're not just better at scheming, not just better at doing what you want, it also safeguards you on a much higher level than, I mean, CK2, don't get me wrong, here already has an impact on enemy schemes, but this one is much more impactful. I'm really happy about this one when it comes to the modifiers, but down here, that's where I wanted to go actually. I thought we already were this one. This one came up, you know, a bit earlier. I was like, oh, and now the modifiers are over, and all of a sudden there's just a boring modifier. You will only really have to worry about people who are equal, who are your equal as a schemer if you are unlocking these traits, of course. If someone else is a good schemer, they can still outrun you and, you know, run circles around you if they're better than you. But other than that, if somebody's worse, you got them in your pocket. You can destroy them whenever you want to. It's easy. I like that. In CK2, even as a master schemer, you have to constantly keep an eye on the damn known plots. Even auto-star plots doesn't always do it. And they might still very well, you know, just have a carriage, get shot at. None of that will happen in CK3 if you are good enough. Now, of course, you can make mistakes, but let's be real, as a master schemer, you will be very unlikely to do it. Truth is relative. Enables the fabricate hook scheme. Find secrets may also fabricate hooks. So if you're a master schemer, you, until you die, or not a master schemer, just by doing this, just by actually starting, just by starting this tree. If you start the skill tree of scheming, you can go ahead and get an additional scheme that otherwise would not be available to you. You can lie about people. It is amazing. Formerly, this was integrated into the antagonize option where you could slander them, you know, throw some nonsense at them that they didn't do, but you can just go ahead and try it. Now with this one, you actually get an additional scheme just by entering the skill tree. I really like this. I like the fact that I can choose to do this. If you antagonize someone in CK2, you have to hope that it gives you the opportunity, the event to, you know, fabricate something. It is great. I really like it. Truth is relative. No, there you go. Kidnapper enables the abduction scheme. The abduction scheme previously was something reserved for the Satanists for some reason in CK2. Now, CK3, all of a sudden you can do it if you just go down the perk tree. And it is cool because if you succeed, you're automatically discovered. They're not going to wonder for long whose dungeon they're locked in. You have nothing to worry about though. The victim will be entirely at your mercy after all. If you combine attempting to abduct people with a torturer tree, you will destroy the enemies in your realm without diplomacy, without them having to like you, without an army. You can simply get them out of the way just by being there. I like this playstyle. I'm super excited for it. And then down here, twice schemed, max hostile schemes +1. Honestly, I don't think I have to comment on that one. That is incredibly powerful. It is incredibly powerful to have 100% more schemes ongoing than your enemies. It is incredibly powerful. Now, lastly, this perk tree offers up the schemer trait. Not only does it grant a major bonus to your intrigue in general, it also significantly boosts the scheme power, speeding up the inevitable success of your ingenious plans. And that is this Death Diary. I'll be honest with you, to me, these perk trees are amazing. They are exactly what the next step of Crusader Kings needs. And I'm excited because in the next one we're going to take a look at Stewardship, and I can only hope that Stewardship will have some very interesting stuff to, you know, strengthen your realm, to maybe encourage you to play tall by simply administering your realm properly. I'm very excited for that one. It probably won't be as good as Intrigue, because Intrigue is, you know, let's be really a bit more exciting, but I think this will be pretty cool. The perk trees so far are absolutely excellent. I cannot imagine how they could screw these ones up. And honestly, I don't want to jinx it, but just the perks we've seen, they're so much fun. Now, that being said, this is it for today. Let me know about your opinion. I'm also as intrigued. Haha, did he just do that? Yes, he did. Are you also as intrigued as I am, or, you know, are you not? Tell me in the comments about it. And I want to thank the members of the channel that are making these videos possible, namely the Barons Aaron, Stefan, the Richest T, Snywolf, and Emma Mamello. Secondly, the Counts, Suspicious Duck, and Kemelik 2. And last but not least, the Absolute Dukes. Benedict, the longest Dukes by the way, Nathan, Knight of Squires, Kenneth, Lexo, Roboman, My Dad Left Me at Arby's, and the absolute legends Eric and Aiden. Thank you so much for being members of the channels. If you also want to support the channel, then check out the join button right underneath the video where you will see the membership tiers and perks. And I will see you in the next Death Diary for the Stewardship lifestyle. Until then, later, alligator.